So, today we will focus on the topic of anthropometrics. This is one of the areas which ergonomics uses, and it's the area where ergonomics uses for the measurements of the human body. We said before that everything is focused on the human body, understanding the human body so that we can make better designs for the human. So we need to understand the human in all aspects. And we said that ergonomics depends on certain areas and uses the information so that basically we can use this information in our designs to make better designs. Anthropometrics deals with the measurements of the human, is one very important area. Without this area, ergonomics cannot exist. Because if we don't understand the measurements of the human body, we definitely cannot design for the human body. Okay? So the measurements very important. So, ergonomics uses anthropometric data to determine what? The optimum size, shape, and form of a design. So, to know what shape, what size, to make a design, we need to know the measurements of the human that will use this design. So, without this, it is not possible to fit the design to the human. So, as we said before, a good match between the design and the user is crucial in ergonomics. So, to make this match between designed object and user, this has to be done through the measurements. If we don't use the correct measurements, we cannot create this match. A good match means that the efficiency, safety, comfort, everything will be increased in a design. But again, without using the correct measurements, we will not be able to do it. So, the product has measurements, the human has measurements. Human body measurements, product measurements. These have to match. These have to be suitable for each other. If they're not suitable, obviously I cannot use the design. For example, if these shoes do not fit my size of the feet, I will not be able to use them. If this bottle was not designed to fit my hand size in a way that's comfortable to hold, I will not be able to use it. Everything has to be in the correct measurements. This is super important. And the shape, measurement and shape. So, anthropometrics as a word, it again comes from the Greek language, meaning measurement of man, of the human, in other words. And I already said that ergonomics relies heavily on anthropometric data to create better designs. Without this, it's not possible. It's not possible, okay? So, now people, when we look at people, they come in all shapes and sizes. You see small people, large people, thin, fat, all kinds of shapes, sizes, okay? Now, when we are designing something, we need to be clear which people, which target group of people are we targeting with our design, okay? So, in everything, be it a small product, a simple product, a complex product, we need to be clear which type of people am I targeting, who is my target group of people. And this target group of people, what kind of shapes, sizes do they have? So that when I design something, I can match with their body measurements. My design has to match with their body measurements. So, basically, in anthropometrics, or books that deal with anthropometrics, you will find, like basically what you have in front of you, the papers, as you can see, there is basically a body, for example, male, female, children, whatever they're dealing with, and a lot of measurements. And these measurements are used in design, actually, and we will talk about it a lot today, so you understand exactly. So, when we use the correct measurements of the correct body part, we can actually improve a certain design situation, whatever it is. Be it a working environment, be it a product, be it an interior, be it whatever it is, okay, can be improved into something better through the objects that are designed in a way to fit the human and the human task better. So when you use a chair in front of a computer, you are actually doing a certain tasks. You could be sitting for a lot of hours. If you use another type of product, you're using it in a different way. Again, how is this being used? In which way? Which body parts? What measurements do I need? And to modify the size and the shape of this design to fit better with the human, and the human while using it in a certain task. Because all of the designed objects, we use them. It's not only put like this for something to look at. We are using this chair, we are using this table, we are using this mouse, this pen, we are using everything we are using. We are doing tasks. So while I'm using a certain product, I need to be safe, comfortable, meeting all the major ergonomic requirements. Anthropometrics helps in this. Because if we mess up the measurements, if we choose the wrong measurements for the products, it will not fit the human. The human will not be able to use this product, or will not be comfortable using this product, or safe, or efficient. Now, how is this anthropometric data collected? How do they know the sizes of, let's say, a human? So this has been collected over a long period of time, okay? And a lot of people were measured, millions of people, okay, were measured, and using tools. As you can see, there is different tools for measuring, and I have one also, okay, like this one. So you can measure, for example, how much is this here? Okay. Then you take a ruler and you measure, okay? So each body part has been measured using tools and of a large number of people, and then collected, classified. Now you cannot just measure randomly. You have to select the age groups. Like, for example, an adult is different than a child. Different age groups could have different measurements. For example, male, female, by nature they have different measurements, so they have to be separated, and so on. So people are categorized in certain categories, measured, the data taken, and then basically it is, after categorization, they are put in tables and calculated in certain way. We will explain this later. So, why is this important? To categorize people in certain groups and not just leave one by one by one by one. Well, because it's not possible. Like when you design something, you cannot design for just one person. Okay, I'm designing just for this person. You cannot. It's not cost effective. So when you design, for example, for 1 million people, 2 million people, 3, a complete nation, for different kind of nations also. So there is a large number of people that sometimes you need to deal with. So when I design something, let's say I'm designer of this bottle will be sold to so many people. So the size that I'm deciding on, all these sizes have to fit the measurements of all these people. So we need to have a number or numbers that help us in this. And this number comes from categorization of certain groups. So if I say, for example, this piece of cloth has to fit all females from this to this age group, then I have a number that I can use in the measurement of this product. Or if I say I'm designing for children of this age group, then which children? Boys, girls, this is also important, okay? And so the gender and the age group, it's very defining, okay? And then I can take the numbers according to this categorization and use it in my design. So this is important because you cannot, as I said, design individually. You have to know, okay, my target group of people is adults from 18 to 60 years old, male, for example, okay? Then you can find the data for this group and use it in your design. That means if other age group of people use it, or other gender, maybe the design will not be comfortable for them. But that doesn't matter, because you are designing for your target group of people. Sometimes this target group of people can be very, very specific. Like, for example, people with certain disability. So it can be only limited target group of people. It doesn't have to be millions all the time, okay? But this is according to you, according to the project you're dealing with, what are you designing, okay? So, now, before we continue, if we want to ask ourselves, why are humans actually different? You know, like, okay, why is this person tall, this person short? Even sometimes when you look at different nations, like you see, for example, okay, Chinese people are generally short, and then you see people from other nations very tall. I'm saying usually, okay? So most of the people in this place are of this particular type. So there is certain theories that explain why humans are different in general. Different in which way? Always. Not only the body size, it's also the mind. So the way I think is different than the way you, each single one of you is different. How? Why? Okay? So there is a specific type of theories that try to explain this. One of them is genetic. They say that you inherit characteristics. So maybe your grandfather was very tall, so you also look like him, very tall. Or the mind also, what goes on in the mind. So everything you inherit in a way. And this is true, in a way, in parts, true. Now, there is another theory of plasticity. The plasticity theory is meaning what? It refers to the brain's ability to reorganize neural pathways throughout your lifespan according to your experience. So what does this mean? That it means, in general, in simple terms, that your experiences change your mind. So my life is different than someone else's life. I have different experiences. That's why I'm thinking in this way today. I have certain likes, certain dislikes, all of these things, the way I think, based on my experiences in the past. And also this is true in a way. So we cannot say that this is only true or this part is only true. No, all of them play a role in forming you as a human. So genetic, plasticity, true, okay? Now there is also another one, acclimatization. Acclimatization is the process by which a human changes according to the climate or environment you live in. Now this doesn't refer to one lifespan. It's like you will not change maybe in your lifespan, but if a certain type of people live in certain type of conditions over a long period of time, then the change can be observed. So if you lived in this place, in this kind of environment and climate, let's say it's very hot climate or very cold, for example, and you lived here all your life, your grandparents, your grand-grandparents, everybody lived in this climate, the body acclimatizes according to this environment. So if someone else from another environment suddenly comes to this environment, they will maybe not survive, or their body cannot accept this climate. So some people, for example, are used to living in very cold environments. Suddenly put them here in the summer, they will die from the heat. So their body is not used to it. And the opposite way, okay? So changes happen slowly over a long period of time, and this is what these theories say. Okay? So we have the genetic aspect, plasticity, acclimatization, and behavioral adaptation. The way we behave over time, over a long period of time, can also change, cause changes. All of these things make us unique. Why are you different than this person? Why do you look different? Why do you behave differently? Why do you think differently? All of these try to explain why humans are different. Okay? There is also some factors that influence the change specifically of body size, of the size of the body, of different populations. So these are again theories, but there is truth to them if we really look at them. So if we go back in history, the people were shorter in stature. They were shorter. We are actually getting taller and taller and taller, but with small degrees. So maybe after 100 years it will be visible and so on. So it needs a long period of time. People are actually getting taller. And why is this, for example, why is this change happening? One of the theories is the improved living conditions. So let's say today we live much better than the people in the past. We have food all the time. Too much food. Too much. Everywhere food. Supermarkets. You can go to the supermarket. You don't even have to walk. You can drive your car to the supermarket. Buy your food. No energy expenditure. Sitting all day, just eating. At any time you get hungry, you can order something. Again, food. In the past, people did not have this luxury. There were periods where people were staying hungry, starving. Most of the population was starving at certain periods of the year. Their food was limited. So whatever is on the ground, whatever is grown, you eat. In the winter, maybe there is not enough food. There is no supermarket, no ordering online, nothing. So this theory basically also no refrigerator at home. This is a big deal. The electricity, the refrigerator, because in the past you don't have a place where you can store food for a long time. It's like this is available today, this is what we eat. Maximum by tomorrow it must be eaten or it will get destroyed. Now we can put food in the fridge for months and months ahead. So now this food and these living conditions, comfortable living conditions, cause the body to increase its size over time as a height, as a size in general. In the past, this is how the body basically works. When you don't give it enough food, especially while you are still growing, the body stops growing. It's like it tells itself, okay, this person is starving, I have to reserve the food, for, the energy for important things. So the person will not grow as high as he would normally grow if he was fed well. So this kind of things changes over a long period of time. We can observe the change. So another reason is the industrialization. So in the past, when there was no industrialization, long time ago, no machines, no working in factories, everybody was living in small villages, growing things on the ground, farmers, eating simple things. Now when the industrialization came, factories started getting opened, people from the small villages started going to the city, to live in the city. Everybody go in the city to work in the city, okay? And this caused populations to mix. Mix is very important. So when you live in a small village, you have your family, another family, 3 families. Okay, that's it maybe in the past. Now we have in Irbit maybe thousands of families living. From each person come from a different location and from different countries. So today we have airplanes. One person from one part of the world can suddenly go to another, and this causes mixture. Mixture of what? Of blood. I'm talking here about heterosis, the result of genetically healthier population. So I'm talking about when people get married, okay, and have children. Now, if over a long period of time this happens, the marriage happens only between one family, so you keep marrying your cousins, the cousins, first cousins, okay, in the beginning nothing will happen. But after 100, 200, 300 years, you will see that changes start happening in a not good way. But when people start mixing, one family with another family, with another people from another country, the outcome, genetic outcome of the future population improves. Intellectually, physically, everything changes. So the industrialization caused this to happen more. Because in the past, nobody could travel distances. You don't have a car, you don't have airplane, you just live in your small village. What families are available, that's it. Okay? So, inbreeding, outbreeding, okay? So this caused a lot of change in the sizes and look of the population. So this is something also that caused changes in the way people look nowadays. Now, let us talk about percentiles used in anthropometrics. We need to understand this very well so that we know how to select data. So we have anthropometrics, we said we have data, measurements about people, different categories of people. Okay, but how do I select this data? How do I understand it? So we need to understand something about percentiles here. Because in every anthropometric book you open, there is percentiles. You will see, usually, there is a fifth, a 50th, and a 95th. Now, there is some variations, like here, sometimes you see 2.5%, here 50, here 97.5 or 98.5. There is small variations, but it is usually these three categories. Categories of division of sizes, of numbers, okay? We will see examples. What does it mean? The fifth usually means the smallest people. So the body of these people is the smallest in this particular population. The 50th is the average, in between, the middle. 95th is basically the larger people, okay? Let us see this graph to understand better. So, in a population, this is the population, there is usually, in roughly, not exact, but roughly, 5% of the people are extremely small. Let's say in the height, extremely small. Then we see here in the middle, most of the, for example, this population, their heights, with a small variation, but they are with a specific number. So this is here the average number of a population. Then we have another roughly 5% that are extremely large, extremely big. But these are small numbers of the population. This is a small number, this is a small number. The most is here in the middle, okay? So, the 50th percentile, this is the average, and the 95th percentile, when we say 95th, it covers all of this. And there is then another 5% which are extremely large. Now, why is this important to know? That there are small people, average maybe people, and very large people? Well, because when we design something, we need to also understand, okay, I'm designing, for example, of people of a specific age group, of a specific gender, but which am I designing for? The smallest of the population, or the average, or the bigger people? So this also needs to be selected so that your design measurements fits the target group better. So it's important to know which group am I focusing on. And this is sometimes not a choice, not a choice. It depends on what are you designing. Now, for example, design for the extreme. Design for the extreme meaning either the very small or the very large people of the population. So, depends on the design. For example, if we have a door, do you see this door? If you were the designer of this door, which percentile will you choose? The 5th of the very small, or the average, or the 95th percentile, which means the bigger people with the small people together, or just the 5% extremely high people? For example, a door. This is a door for public use. That means everybody go in, go out, every day different people go in, go out, short ones, tall ones, of different sizes. So this door should be designed taking into consideration as much as possible people's sizes. So if I design it for the small 5% of the population, what happens to the rest? They will not be able to go through the door. Okay? So now this door, if I design it high for the high people, okay, then the small people will also be able to go through it, correct or not? Yes? So small people can pass through it and the large people. So I have to focus on the measurements of the large people, okay, to design this door. And usually it is the 95th percentile. So if someone is over 2 meters tall, it is very rare. Okay, he will have to bend his head to go in. But we rarely see, such high people that will not be able to pass through this door. But let's say 95% of the population should be able to go in and out comfortably. So we choose the 95th or 97th percentile of the population, so that big and small can pass through it comfortably. Also, when you have like emergency exits or anything that needs, especially for public use, this thing must be taken into consideration, that everybody should be able to use it comfortably. Now there is another type of design, the design for the adjustable range. Adjustable means I have a design, I can change the design. How? Like, for example, these office chairs. Like, I can put my chair up and I can put my chair down. This is changing the design. So there is a range. So, for example, if I'm very short, I will put my chair down. If I'm very tall, I will put it up. So I can change according to fit my size. This is called adjustable designs. And there is a range. Okay? Now, this range has to fit as much as people as possible. In some situations, you have to make your design adjustable, because you cannot design, in some situations, you cannot make a design fit a very, very small person, not only a small person, but a small female, because the females are shorter than the males in general. So a short female, the shortest of the population, and to fit a very large male, for example, both of these people want to use the same design, and it has to be comfortable. Sometimes this is not possible. So they design, make the design adjustable. So the very short person can change it to fit their size, and the very large person can change the design to fit their size. So sometimes this is necessary. And there is also design for the average. What is the design for the average? It's design for the average people. Now this is something very, very important to understand here. That design for the average is the least one used. Because, why? Let's go back to this graph. Now when we say average, what is the average? It is all of these people here. This is the 50th percentile. Now, what's the problem if I design for the average? Well, there is a problem. Now, because from here to here, there is a big change. Now, if you're an average person, but you are here somewhere on the graph, or if you're an average person close to the large people, there is a big difference. So when you say average, it's not only these people here in the middle. These are the average ones. But there is smaller progressively and larger people. So when you say average, it's very general. Very general. That means that maybe the people who are in this range here, or the people in this range, will not feel comfortable with your design as a size. So when I say I'm designing for the average, this is used only in specific situations where the comfortability or the safety is not really of a big concern. Like, for example, in what kind of situations? Like here, I put an example, a counter height at a grocery store. You know this counter heights when you buy vegetables or a supermarket, and they type for you, what is the cost of. Now this height of this table, for example, If it's 1 centimeter higher, 1 centimeter lower, it will not be a big difference. So this, for example, you can use the average size because many people keep changing at the counter, and usually people don't even sit for a long time. It's like standing, doing the work, moving around all the time. It is not like when you sit at an office chair for 8 hours. Like you're sitting on this chair a long time, okay? So it has to be more comfortable than this. It has to be suited to your body so that you're comfortable on it. But something that you keep moving around, a lot of people change, and there is not really a big safety concern. Now if it's a little higher, a little lower, so you can use a general measurement here of the average user. The average user that could be using this product. But most of the time, most of the designs don't fit the average. So you need to be more specific. Are you designing for the small? Are you designing for 95th percentile, which covers the bigger, larger people with the small people together? Or just for the extremely large people, which is kind of rare. Again, it is rare. Now here, for example, to compare with the average, where safety is not a concern, when we design for the extreme, like for example, when we have some kind of a device, and me as a user of this device, I have to be able to reach the controls, the buttons, everything. I need to reach it. And let's say I'm very short. I'm a very short female, and I cannot reach it, okay? This is a problem. This is a safety problem. Now, in this case, the design must fit the smallest of the users, the smallest. And the large one should be able to use it, but the smallest must be able to reach it. It's like, now, if it's not possible, you make the design adjustable. Like, for example, a car. Take a car as an example. Now, a car, maybe a very short female will use it, and a very large, tall male will use the same car, the same design. But how can the short female, reach the controls, reach the steering, and the large person also, and to be comfortable? It's not about only reaching, it's about being comfortable in this space. So how can they do that? They cannot fit everybody comfortably. So they make the chair adjustable. You can put it forwards, everybody notice that, and you can put it back if you're very big. But here in the car, it is a safety issue. So if you cannot reach something, it's dangerous. So they must put an adjustable design here to fit all the people as much as possible, the big and the small. Okay? So it depends on what you are designing. So you select the specific numbers of the specific percentile of the users that should be chosen for this design. So it's the target group of people and what sizes. This is very important to understand. Let's take another example. What is this here? It is an airplane seat. Now again, this is a public transportation. A public, this means short people, large people of all the sizes, of different nations will come and sit on this chair. So, who should fit? What measurements should be chosen for this chair? For only the small people, or as many as possible people, or only the large people, the very largest, okay? So, now here, on this chair, both the small and the large people have to feel comfortable. Now, if you're extremely large, like very, very fat person, sometimes they take 2 seats when they go in an airplane. They buy 2 seats because they don't fit into 1 seat. But this is extreme situation. Like, when do we see such a fat person? You know, I'm talking about really big sizes. Rarely. Okay? When we talk 95% roughly of the population are of more normal size. Some thin, some more fat, but 95% have to fit into this chair comfortably. If you're very, very, very big, you will buy 2 chairs. But not buy, to rent 2 chairs to sit on. So, but in most designs, we try to fit the 95th percentile. In most designs, that means 95% of the population, target users that you choose, will fit in your design and be comfortable and safe. Okay? So, applying anthropometric data to a certain design, you must go through these points. First, you must decide who you are designing for. Who is the target group? Without that, you cannot move to the next stage. After we decide that, we will also need to decide what we are designing. So who and what. Are we designing a chair, a mouse, a pen, a car, what? A door, a room? So what are we designing? And for whom? Who will use it and what is it? This is very important. Then we need to decide which body measurement do we need to focus on. What does that mean? Like if I'm designing this mouse, okay? Now the focus is which body measurements do I focus on? My hand. Because this mouse I will use it with my hand, not my feet. Okay? So the focus is on the measurement of the hand of the target group of people. So you can find detailed measurements, again, of hands, of feet, of every detail of the body, and you use it as needed. If I design these eyeglasses, okay, then my focus is where? On the head, on the face. So we need to decide which body measurements are relevant. Because if you remember last class, we said that when you use any product, any design product, your body comes in contact with it. There is touching points. Touching points of what? Between my fingers now and this bottle. The shoes have different touching points, okay?
Yes.
So, these touching points are what? On my body. So which body part is important? This is what I need to focus. The measurements that I need. And then, you need to decide whether you're designing for averages, or extremes, or the 95th percentile to fit as many people as possible. Then you can select here the correct measurements to meet these situations here. What, who, and which body measurements. Then you go to the anthropometric data and be able to select the correct numbers. Then when you design this, whatever you're designing, it can be of different shapes, different solutions, but the measurements have to fit with the humans that will use it. See some examples here. Now, the mouse, I already give us an example. Look at these headphones. Now, if I was designing headphones that should be stuck in my ears, the focus of the measurement is my head and the ears, okay? The ear shape, the ear size, so that I know how to design these correctly as shapes and as sizes. And everything. Take a chair, for example. When you sit on a chair, where are the contact points between the body and the product? And how do you sit? You know, the body physiologically, how does it sit? And for what is this chair? And when we say a chair, it's general. There is chairs for relaxations, there is chairs for work, there is chairs, so many different types. Each type has its own requirements. So am I sitting 10 hours on this chair, watching movies and playing on my mobile? Or am I working in front of a computer? Or am I drawing while sitting on this chair? It's very different, okay? So, which body parts do I focus on here, okay? And what measurements? For who am I designing this? Which percentile of the population? Everything is different. Now, if you're designing for children, okay? Again, there is differences in the age groups, but let's say a child using some kind of a toy or device, you have to take into consideration that their body sizes are very different. Okay? Then you have to look at anthropometric data dealing with children and take the sizes, design according to them. Now, in anthropometry, as I said, usually you find like these images. You find body, like this is a male, here this is a male, also this is a female, body sizes. So divided by gender, because they have genetically different measurements. So you can see a lot of measurements, a lot. Okay, every single detail was measured from all sides, everything. And if you notice how the body, how they shape it, it's a little bit like robot. Okay, it's not important who this person is. It's important the size. So everything is like a technical drawing, basically. You know, here very, very detailed, front view, side view, everything, and every part of the body measured. Now, with the measurements, sometimes you have the measurement on the body. Sometimes you have it separately in a table. And so, here, for example, this table shows us, okay, this is here, from here to here, number B, sitting shoulder height, for example, okay? We have here two different numbers, male, female, and we have different percentiles, the small, the average, and the 95th percentile. So, the small, 5th percentile of the population, for example, the hip breadth. The males, the small males, is this number. The small females, this number. Then, the 50th percentile, the average, is female and for male like this. And the 95th percentile, so the larger people, okay, it is, what is it for the male, what is it for the female. And every number, as you can see, is different depending on which percentile of the population you choose of this specific age group. And is it male or female? This is very important. So this is here between 19 and 65 years, and the numbers are in millimeter, okay? So we can see here at each letter and then understand, okay, if I'm designing something for example, for the 95th percentile female, I will take the according numbers and design for it, for this kind of people. Or, if everybody has to fit, I will design for the male, because the male is a little bit larger than the female, and a little bit smaller female will fit into this design, but from the 95th percentile. So it's very important to understand which of these numbers to use in your design. These here, like body measurements, like what we saw here, for example, they are called static body measurements. Static, that means the body without moving. It has certain height, certain measurements, okay, but it's not in movement. But we need to remember that in design, the body is in movement. Like when we use a design, we are moving. So when someone designed these shoes, they're not designed for static use. They're designed for moving, okay? When I'm using this pen, I'm not just holding it like this. I'm moving it. Everything is in movement, okay? So, when you design something, let's say this is an interior, okay? You need to understand, okay, is your interior, the measurements correct for the human that will use it? So, designers usually place a human that looks like this, like a robot a little bit, but showing clearly the joint areas. The size of the human has to be to scale. Like for example, if this interior is used scale 1 to 5, the human is selected the correct percentile and divided by scale 1 to 5. And this human is placed in different situations while moving to show that is the design comfortable, is it everything okay, or not. So this is dynamic body dimensions. So while the body is moving, and in anthropometrics you can find data for it. Like for example, look at this head. how much can a normal human move the head back or forwards or to the side? Now you cannot move your head 360 degrees. So if I want to see a design at the back, like I'm driving a car and I have to look backwards, I have to move my whole body. This is important to see back. My head cannot move alone. So this has to be considered. So the whole body is moving and it has to be comfortable. So there is a limitation, what I mean. Like if you take a hand, how much this hand can move back? There is a limit, okay? How much can you move forward? Can you move more than this? No. So there is a start and an end point. Can you look? The hand can move also sideways, but here I can move it all the way down 90 degrees. Here I cannot. So these limitations are very important in design. While the human is moving, how the design will be used, what are the limitations? Now, when choosing this kind of limitations in a specific design, you need to be very careful. Because when we say the maximum, like maximum I can move my hand in this angle here. Maximum I can move it here. But the maximum is not always the most comfortable. So, you need to consider the natural movements. Like, what is natural? Like, okay, maximum I can move my hand this way, but really I will feel comfortable only until here. Not until here. My hand also, if I have to use something and twist my hand in an unnatural way, maybe I can. I can't physically do it, but I'm not going to be comfortable if the design forces me to do it. Like, when I use a mouse, I can use the mouse with my hand like this, but it's not comfortable. It's a natural movement, it's like this. Clicking on the buttons like this, not twisting my finger, you know, in a funny way to reach something. So, again, there is limitations used in anthropometric data of how much a body can move in certain ways, but you have to consider also what is comfortable to do in a design. Okay? So the maximum, for example, is this angle, but is it really comfortable? This you need to ask yourself. You have to go less. Okay? Now, this is about, today's lecture was focused about anthropometrics, everything to do with the measurements. And this is the very, very important part of any design. If you get the measurements wrong, you have everything wrong. Okay? So, we will talk about your second homework to do. Okay? I will go over it, and then I will explain what these sheets are that I gave you, because they are part of the homework. So, the first thing you need to do is measure and draw your own body. Your own body, okay? With accurate dimensions. So if you see on this sheet, for example, there is bodies, okay? So what you will draw is like this, but your own body measurements. Not these, not, okay, this is here, for example, 2.5th percentile, this is the average, this is the 97.5th percentile. No, you will not use these drawings. You will measure your own body. So take a tool, rulers, whatever at home, and you will measure every part of your body, from here, from here, from here, every single part, like we have in the drawings, you will do with yourself. Okay? You will draw first a quick sketch of the body and just put the measurements. Every measurement you take, you put it. After that, you will redraw it in a more clean way. Here I give you an example. Okay, these bodies, like a robot a little bit. Because I don't care who is on here. I don't want to know you. Like, who is this person? I don't care. I care only about the measurements. So, you need to use this as example. Everybody should draw in this way. It is like a technical drawing. Everything should be aligned according to the joints. Basically a robotic human, but changed according to your measurements. Okay. The next point. Where did this go? Yes, there is a lot of detail and you need to focus because this is a big part of any design. If you don't understand, it will be a problem. Now, the second, focus with me. Use scale 1 to 8 to draw the body as front and side view. So in this paper you will see an example, front and the same side view, perfectly aligned in every detail. So front and side view, scale 1 to 8. So for example, you measure yourself at home, your height is 165 centimeter. But you have to draw it on the paper, 1 to 8 scale. So 165 divided by 8, this is what your height should be on the paper, okay? Everybody knows scale by now. So, your real measurements, but scaled into a smaller size. Drawing must be highly accurate and all joints and other details must be shown and aligned in both views. So, they must align, so I don't want you to draw the front view here and the side view somewhere else, not aligned. It's like the orthographic drawings you used to draw in the introduction to 3D design. How everything should be aligned according to the measurements. This is the same. Technical drawing of your body. First, draw with pencil, then with drafting pens, then scan and include in your report. What does this mean? First, you will draw your body measurements with pencil, okay? And rulers, of course. After that, you need to use drafting pen. Why I don't want pencil? For you to submit me with pencil, because if it's a pencil drawing and you scan, it will look very unclear and very bad. You need to make it with pen and use your French curves to draw very accurately, not freehand. So I don't want to see, for example, one leg is different size than another or not accurately done, okay? Except if your leg is like that. Like if you have a leg shorter than the other or a different size, okay. But otherwise they must be equal, okay? Oh. Now, after you finish, you draw with pen and the drawing is perfect, you scan it and you include it, you need to print it out for you, okay? Place all measurements in a table or as the examples show. Let me put the lights on so we can explain better here. So, you can put the measurements. You see here there is, for example, a person. Focus with me because I will not answer questions on messengers in the middle of the night. Okay? Because of the things that I already explained. Focus here. So, you can put the measurements on the body as you know before in the for example, there is a head, okay? It doesn't matter, okay, what you need to draw it in this way like it is there. For example, from here to here, there will be a line, okay, with triangles like you already know. In the middle, you will put the number, or next to it exactly. Okay, the head breadth, the head size, for example. Here, for example, we'll have the number. So, exactly like you have here. Lines, extension lines, showing the measurement and all the details. Or, you can do it in this way. You can have, here, for example, of course, you will have all the body. Okay, all the body here drawn. So, yes. So, you can have, for example, here A, here B, and here you can have a table. This table can be on the next page, because you don't have space. You will have a front and a side view. On the next page, you can put the table For example, A, B, C, D, all these measurements, and have what is here the measurement, okay, of each one, and so on. And also write the scale, and units. So are you using centimeter? Are you using millimeter? Scale is 1 to 8, okay? So do you want to put it here? Do you want to put it under the table? Wherever is good. So the organization is up to you. So either with letters, number, and here the number, or you put the number on the actual body. If you see it's too crowded, too small, this is better to use. Okay? Now, please be careful to make it like this, but with your own size, according to scale and according to measurement. But use this style, please, this one here, okay? As you can see, everything aligns. Like, for example, they usually put here a line where the eyes should be, and when you draw it as a side view, basically like a robot, you know, like we don't see details here of the mouth, but this line must align with the side view of the side object. Not, for example, this to be up or down, or not aligning. The height must align of the body, okay? Like a technical drawing, like as if orthographic drawing here drawing. But the sizes will be changed from one student to another. And after that, after you finish your drawing, you have the measurements, what next to do? Tell me, where do you lie on the percentile graph? Do you belong to the average, to the small, to the large? So we have this graph, and you will look at your measurement. You will look at your height, for example. Okay? You will have a certain height here. So for example, 165 centimeter, and you will say, okay, my height is 165. Which part of the population do I belong to? Do I belong to the very small, short people, the medium, average, or the very large people? You explain to me, okay? So you look at your measurements and you explain which part of the percentile graph do you belong to, okay? Just a practice exercise to use these percentiles, but on yourself, okay? And we will see each student will be in a different location of this graph, but most of you will be somewhere in the middle, okay? So there is no student I can see here that's extremely large, like extremely tall or extremely fat, no. And I don't see any student that is so short, you know, like, like they clearly stand out. Most of you are, you know. So, if I'm designing something for this classroom of the students to use, I need to consider the 95th percentile of your sizes. So, 95% of you should fit perfectly in my design. Some of you, if they're a bit too short or a bit too big, will have some problems. Okay? But that's it. Any questions about this exercise? So, maybe 2 pages, that will be it for this. Clean drawing, clear, beautiful. Again, the cover page must have assignment number 2, class name, your name, everything. Okay? Thank you. If you're late, you're up. Well, you know that. It doesn't matter. It's not 5 minutes. It's way much more. And after I start the lecture, you're absent. You know that. I explained the rules. Next time, be on time.
Can I ask you something about the last exercise?
Okay, which one?
The first one.
Okay.
Do we